jump to that Creative Cloud Files folder. All right, so here I am on my desktop. I can locate that file. I can open up that PSD, which actually was being rendered in the browser, which is cool. And I can start to work on this. And honestly, this is what I do, guys, is I'll start out in Photoshop and I'll create the design in Photoshop because I'm comfortable in it. I can do anything I want. I have that pixel precision, right? And I'm like, okay, this is a great web design. Now I need to get this. This needs to be like HTML web stuff now, right? Okay? How you used to do that is you chop up everything, right? You bust out that little X-Acto knife and hopefully not cut your finger and ultimately chop up all those images. But we've gone so far with what we can do with CSS and really web standards these days, a lot of this content can be CSS. The thing I have to do is somehow create that CSS. How do I do that? Well, say for instance, if I take this title, right up here, thinking, okay, I was able to design this in Photoshop. I think that looks good. So that title, it has drop shadow, pretty straightforward. Rather than writing some notes for the developer to run with and convert into CSS, what I can do is just do a right click and, oh, what is this right here? Just a little copy CSS. Actually copy the CSS of that layer. Okay? So it went through, copies all the CSS, all the properties that are available in CSS. And now, I'll just jump into any HTML page and then paste them. And there's the CSS. That CSS title is being applied to this text right here. So when I click over here, in fact, let's click on Live View, which when I click on Live View, it's basically a browser running in Dreamweaver. You can see it's rendered out, that text. Cool? Yeah. Nice. That developer, he's always acting like I'm bothering him. When we're supposed to work on this project together. Well, hey, this is great. I can actually not only, help develop the site if you're not already, but I can start to learn how everything's being put together. So I can scroll through and say, oh, well, here's this font family, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's like the RGB colors, everything's uppercase, it gives me this exact positioning. But this is just a text layer, so maybe you're not super impressed with the fact that it's just a text layer. Well, I have lots of layers in this PSD file. I have text, I have imagery, I have this shape layer, which is that panel. Everything is in this folder. Okay, so check this out. Again, copy CSS. All of that stuff. Copying it all. Give it a second. Again, I think we get mad at progress bars when we don't realize what really is going on there. It's creating all this CSS that I didn't have to write. Jumping back into Dreamweaver, and I'll just do a Command V, and as I click over, you can see that it's generated all of that. Again, just divs. I'm going to be honest with you guys, because it didn't make that image automatically. That image is actually in a specific folder. But if you take a look at the CSS, it's like really straightforward. So I can go into Code View, and say, oh, am I going to be able to figure this out, this Code View? What is all this stuff? Well, if you start to look, oh, that main image. Oh, it's just pointing to an images folder, and that's what it's called. That's actually the layer name, so it keeps everything really straightforward. I'd encourage you to open up your CSS styles panel, because all this CSS starts to look like the layers in my PSD file, okay? So that's pretty cool. I've pasted some content in there, and really, we're dealing with sort of multiple screens these days. Again, Photoshop's great with its pixel precision, so I can, of course, display this page, but what if I want this content to resize and reflow? I want it to be more responsive. That's when you'd start to change these pixel widths and heights and things like that to percentages, okay? And that's what I would do. I'd jump in there, showing you this final version where I've literally just jumped in and say, hey, you know what? The width and height of the content area is 50%. Okay, so I've changed these pixels to percentages. And now I'm starting to make this responsive design. Scaling it down, it's like, okay, that's nice. I've seen this on the web. I think it's really cool, and I like that. But it starts to break down after a while, right? You're like, okay, it's cool. I check it on my mobile device, and everything's kind of crammed in there. Okay? And this is where you start to take a look at the content and, of course, the layout to develop your mobile version. Okay, think, okay, again, I'm in line at a coffee shop. I literally have 2 minutes. Let's make sure my content is good for those 2-minute tasks. Okay, and let's make sure the layout is appropriate as well. And I started to think about this whole responsive design thing. And since we travel a lot, I thought, well, a really good metaphor is like when we pack. So we go on these long trips, and like, it's kind of like a suitcase that you have. It's like, okay, I got to take everything at home. You know, do I take everything at home and cram it into my suitcase? Not necessarily. It's like I don't take everything on my website and cram it in the mobile version necessarily. I need it to be small and compact. And just so you guys can get to know me a little better, if we open this up, we have, I'm like obsessed with like not getting sick on the road. So I pack with me like a ton of vitamins, like everything. You can ask these guys. I get a little sick every morning after taking all of these vitamins, which is the purpose of me taking them in the first place, is to not get sick, which is kind of funny. But you can see, according to me, the essentials, maybe black shirts and jeans. No underwear, you notice. I do pack clean underwear with me.
Moving on.
All right. But I didn't forget about you guys, because if we switch to Rufus, take a look as we even open up his. He's like the opposite. He's Swiss. I guess if you're Swiss, you pack a bunch of Toblerones. Demand to see for candy. But again, roll it on up. And then lastly, my colleague Jason. He's at home with his fancy music sheets. Opening up his suitcase, we have some Baraka, which is really hard to come by in the U.S. Tax that, it's always mad. And then, of course, we have records. Not anywhere to play them, just the records themselves. I don't know why.
I like to be
And then a grand piano. So I guess you can play some music. Roll, just the essentials. I don't know how you do it. Hacking it all in there, and you're good to go. That's the idea behind sort of developing for mobile. It's not necessarily taking all my content and cramming it in there. Let's make sure it's appropriate for what the user is trying to do. All right. And the thing is where would you begin when it comes to this sort of scenario? Well, I of course encourage you to start out in Dreamweaver. So here I'm in Dreamweaver. I can literally go to File, New Fluid Grid Layout. Okay, this is cool. This sounds good. That sounds like what I need to do. Oh, this is great. Basically gives me the opportunity to create a page that's going to have actually 3 different media queries already set up, including a smart div. Okay, so that travel spotlight, that was just a div. Okay, so it makes these smart divs. It's like a really intelligent web page. So here's my mobile version. It's going to have 2 columns. I can always change that. Tablet's going to have 6 columns. Again, these are just guides for me to design my website. And then we have desktop that has 8 columns. Okay, so I can set this up initially, but all I'm going to do is click Create. It says, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a CSS file for you. I'm like, great. I will save that. As I click into Design View, and here is that smart div that I just mentioned. So let me just save this page. All right. This is cool. I said smart div. If we start to take a look at it, it's more than just a box. It has additional controls. So I can hide it. I can duplicate it. I can delete it altogether. And I'll show you how this works actually just right now. Because in fact, if I duplicate it, bam, I've just duplicated that specific item. So again, if I have this selected, just duplicate it as to start out. I can start to insert my content, so quickly just dropping in an image. There's my image. Let's give it a little bit of room here. Again, duplicate this some more. I can have a 3rd item, and maybe this is a promo. But I start to sort of flesh out my website. Again, this top part might be my navigation or header. Okay, so this is for my mobile layout. So if I take a look right down here, we have that icon. It says, hey, you know what? I'm the mobile size. Oh, tablet. Let's take a look. Clicking there. Here's my tablet size for this layout. Clicking on the desktop, all the content is still there. It's just the desktop layout. So I can start to adjust any one of these at any point in time. So I can come in here to the tablet size. Maybe I want to resize this. So it's just 2 columns for that promo. I can duplicate it. Maybe I want to move it up a row. Oh, wait, there's a handy little move it up a row. Bam. Let's add another one. There we are. Just added 3 for this tablet layout. Okay, you guys think if I click on mobile size, will I see all 3 promos? You think they'll be there? Right on. You are right. They're all 3 there. But it's cool that I can modify the layout for each one of these media queries is what I'm doing. So again, back in here, changing this any way I want and getting it laid out appropriately, and it doesn't affect the other layouts. So that's what I do. I'd start to create this layout just like that. All right. Easy enough. That looks good. We have our desktop layout. We have our tablet. Oh, look, that one popped up. It's like, that's kind of ugly, kind of hanging out there. Maybe I don't want to show it on this tablet device or on the mobile device. Okay, again, we don't want to take everything at home and travel with it. Okay? And what I can do is with this item, rather than deleting it, I can just hide it. So I'm hiding it just for this layout. Bam. I hit it. It's no longer there, but it is still on this like mobile one. But I have that sort of control when it comes to creating a layout. In fact, let's just take a look at it in a browser. We have those promos. It's actually all 4. That image actually rescales, but there's tablet. Excuse me, there's my tablet version, mobile, tablet, and then finally there's my desktop version laid out that way. So that's your introduction to responsive design. Hopefully you feel empowered. You feel empowered, right? Being able to jump in there and start with a new file and just start dropping in content. And then if you get really curious, you can start to take a look at what's going on behind the scenes, which is a whole lot of, which is just some CSS that I didn't have to write. You can see as I scroll up. Oh, here's that media query. Gives me a little note here. It says, hey, you know what? If it's larger than 769 pixels, then start moving things around and making them this size as I scroll down. Okay? It's like, oh, that makes sense. If I scroll up, you'll see the other ones. And that's what I've done with my design. So, okay. Fast forward on a very successful day. Got a lot done. I unplugged my phone, or maybe it died or something. That's the only way I get work done is if my phone's dead. All right, but this is what I have as sort of a final result based on what you just saw. We have this large image. It's actually a slideshow. We can see these 4 promos that I've just added some CSS transitions to. But as we scale it down, it goes from 4 down to 3 for my tablet. Okay? And then even as I scale it down further, you can see it just rolls everything into this little, this little widget that you can click through. Okay? It doesn't, looks pretty good, but as I'm looking at this, I can see the font really is not, it's not Comic Sans, and I want Comic Sans. All right? So how can we integrate something like Comic Sans into this site? Again, selecting live view just so we can see it. This is rendering out, it's basically rendering out the entire page, and I can start to take a look at this content. I can go into the CSS styles panel, but really I'm just going to open up any one of these rules. Okay, so I'm opening up the CSS rule definition for the body, which is something typical that you'd have on a page. Okay, I have Times New Roman. I apologize for that. Or maybe you like Times New Roman. It doesn't matter. Because you could go beyond system fonts into new fonts if I just select Manage Fonts down here at the bottom. Selecting Manage Fonts, bam, there we have it. Adobe Edge Web Fonts. And look at all these. Wait, this is, you can't be serious, right? I mean, look, scrolling through, visually getting an icon of what that font looks like, this is great. Scrolling through, selecting what I want. If I want Berkshire, I can select Berkshire. I can start to sort these. Maybe I want some more script-based fonts. Scrolling down, I can select any Dynalite if I want to. Oh, you want to search for your Comic Sans, right? Oh, it's not there. You guys heartbroken? A little sad? All right, don't worry, guys. Because what you could do is actually local web fonts. So even if you do have a specific font that you want to use, you could load it in right in here. And there's some services online. Really, you can take a TrueType font, and I think Font Squirrel is one location online. Take a TrueType, and it will spit out these different versions for different browsers. But nonetheless, that's actually where you browse to your Comic Sans, which I actually have on my desktop, but I'll spare you. What I want to do is, I actually like, what is Source? We have a couple. Actually, let's go back in here. Okay, good. I like this Able font. But either way, that's how I've added all of these fonts right here. I've added them to my project, if you will. So it added this JavaScript that I didn't have to write. All I need to do is select the font that I want to use. So I just selected that Able font, selecting it, and this is for my body copy. I'm clicking Apply, and you can see it change right over here, and everything looks pretty good. Okay? We can get a little more fancy if we want to. Some of this text, the H1 tags, if I want to change that, going beyond that Baskerville font. I want to use the Dynalite because it's like that cursive type font, clicking Apply, and it applies it right there. Okay? Is that easy? Is that easy or is that easy? I don't know if the web was super fun like 10 years ago. If anybody's like, I was doing web stuff 15 years ago, it's like, I'm glad I wasn't you. But because it was tough. It was a tough time. You're crunching down images because you want that look, but it all meant optimizing images. And now we have this sort of CSS control. I can add a drop shadow, do all sorts of things. Even beyond text and imagery, there's a lot we can do even when it comes to HTML5. So I can start to insert, let's take a look. Under Media. By the way, the feature that I just showed you guys is in Dreamweaver update number 2, by the way. So we've had 2 updates to Dreamweaver for the Creative Cloud. And you know why? It's because the web is actually moving a lot faster than it used to, and we want you to take advantage of these features right away. So I'm going to talk about Edge Animate later. If I want to insert HTML5 video, it's as simple as adding that component, pointing to that source for that video. That MPEG-4, it realizes, hey, you need other file formats for the other browsers, and it automatically finds those which are in that same folder. But I've just dropped in a video. Almost like dropping in an image, I'm able to add a video. And if you guys have tried to add video to a site, say a couple of years ago, say using Flash, it was not easy. And here it's as simple as adding an image. As I scroll down, you can see my video right there. Okay. And I can show this to you in a second. It'll pop up, just updating. Again, I've added fonts and all sorts of things to it. But I even want to go beyond what I have in here for video, which gives me all the controls I need, by the way. So I could have added a poster image. Oh, yeah. But here's my video playing, full screen. So again, this is an asset that I got from Jason by Creative Cloud. We've been sharing assets all along. Everything works out just fine. It's simply as adding an image. Okay. So that works out great. I have this element right over here. You're thinking, oh, you got some Flash content over there, right? You'll take a look and you'll right-click. You're like, is that Flash? It should say Flash Player, blah, 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 but it doesn't. Yet that actually came from Flash. So let's see how that's done. Jumping into Flash. We have Flash users, designers, or developers, either way. Be proud. Honestly, come on, guys. That's good. You probably have some Flash content. I know we got a ton. I'm doing a lot of HTML now, but I have a ton of Flash content, and that's really where my skills lie. So let me be able to take all these assets that I have, banner ads, whatever the case may be, and maybe I want to see them across devices. So maybe I need this in HTML. Well, again, the reason I love Flash is the fact that I can create motion tweens and I have full control when it comes to animating. So I can have this slide across, that looks great, bend that line. Look at that sort of control that we have as I hit the enter key. There's my animation. Again, I just made a complex animation. This motion path is kind of some complex technology. But I want this in HTML. I'm using this toolkit for Cray.js. Okay, so I've just opened up that panel. Said, hey, I want this to be in HTML. Literally, click publish. Just click publish. And there is my content in HTML. It doesn't say Flash Player when I select it. Okay, and there's my barrel. You see it sliding on by, right? Pretty cool? Pretty cool to be able to do that. Did you guys know you could do that? Maybe you did. Maybe this is old news. I don't know. Either way, if you've even checked out this Cray.js a year ago, we've updated it so much. This whole framework is being updated. And it's basically a JavaScript framework that allows you to do some things that are even more complex. So here I have my guy kind of sliding around. Everything looks great. This is all using JavaScript, but if you are familiar with ActionScript, this is where all that power is done. It says, hey, you know what? The swimmer, move his X position based on the mouse position. That's exactly the same in ActionScript. Yet using this Create.js JavaScript framework, it's the same lines of code. All right, cool. And I can turn around and make this an app, all sorts of things. I only have about 2 minutes, but I did mention that I can make apps from Flash Pro, which I'm not going to do, but I can easily make iOS, Android apps from a Flash project. Put it right on my phone, have them sitting on my phone right here. Okay. But again, maybe you are using HTML, so I'm going to do this fast. What if I wanted to make an app using HTML? It's like, okay, I've just learned some things starting out in Photoshop. I'd love to make an app because I've been asked to by the restaurant up the street. I'm thinking I'd make some extra money, get some free meals or something. I said, hey, go ahead and do it. Say File, New File, right down here, Page from Sample. This is where everybody should get out their phones and just take a picture of this screen, because this is how you need to get to it. Page from Sample, Mobile Starters. Oh, a jQuery Mobile Starter template. Okay, touch enabled, ready to go. Selecting that, selecting Create. Here's all my code. I know it sounds scary saying code, but let's go ahead and click from the live view. I can click through to say page 2. Oh, what is this code here? Well, look, it's just HTML. Do you think I can change this content? Yes, you can. As I change it, you can see it changes right there. And look, that's already set up, guys. I can go beyond this. I can start to, again, I want to maybe change this theme, because I said it was jQuery Mobile with theme. I want to change the color, because this happens to be, I don't know, a smoothie place up the street, right? And maybe it doesn't need to be black and white. Well, coming in here, what I can do is turn on live view. And let me save my document. That's one thing you will have to remember to do, okay? As long as you remember to save your document, it's a good thing. jQuery Mobile, I've just selected this top bar, for instance, right over here, jQuery Mobile swatches. I can change that to blue, to white. Change that to yellow. Now we have like some, I don't know, for a smoothie. I don't know what you... I'd have a hard time. I'd be hard-pressed to figure out what I'd use that yellow for. Either way, you think there's a way to get more themes? I don't know, maybe this button down here, get more themes. That sounds like a good idea. Guys, it's like drag and drop. It's so nice. It launches jQuery Theme Roller, which is really just taking these color swatches and just dropping them onto the interface. Okay? So again, I don't have much time. I'm actually pretty much out of time, but it's drag and drop just like that, and now you have your site for your fast food restaurant. Okay, disregard. Yeah, that looks like it needs Comic Sans, right? Look at me. I actually went to art school. You look at that, and you're like, oh, I swear, probably by art teachers like Paul. I don't know about you. Okay, so that's what I've done, and again, if I could just take 30 more seconds to show you the final version, which is really what you do is you end up with a design like what I have here. You want to turn it into an app. It's this PhoneGap Build service. So if you've heard of PhoneGap Build, we'll take your HTML content, it's all mobile optimized by the way, and you'll just hit this button that says Build Application, and it builds an app for all of those various platforms. Okay, once I do that, once it's built, I can use this QR code to get it right on my device, and all I need to do now is, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to share this really fast. Here it is on my device. I used a QR code reader to put it there. You can see as it's rendered out right here, and I can start to take a look at it. So again, I didn't show this on the desktop, but you can see even as I come in here, I can start to, move through this content. Everything looks great. Checkboxes, jQuery mobile UI, all developed. And lastly, I'll just show you what gets me excited about working in mobile is the fact that I can actually use mobile-specific technologies. Like I can access the camera. I can use the accelerometer. So in this case, the accelerometer, look guys, I'm tilting my phone. See how that water level's changing? I said, oh, this would be kind of fun, a cool way to donate. Let's make it fun for people. Let's access the accelerometer. How do they do it? Well, I have this page over here off to the side. I said, okay, you want to donate to the Clean Water Project? It's like pouring water in, pouring in that clean water. And look at it, it's actually talking to that web browser. Look, I'm pouring water in there. Oh, look, it actually rotated. Oh, look it, I'm donating a lot today. Damn, there we are. All right, guys, I'm done. Was that cool?